bustling city of London, buskers can be found on every street corner, always singing, dancing, juggling, and entertaining. But little do we know about them. Let's take a closer look at their lives as one busker shares her story with us.
My name's Evie Anderson and I'm 38 years old and I've been busking in Covent Garden for just over 8 years.
Covent Garden is the prestigious and coveted spot for buskers in all of London. This also happens to be where Evie sings for her supper. Busking is more than what you may think.
Busking doesn't just include music, it includes dancing, comedy show, all sorts of things.
Covent Garden buskers are a mixed bunch.
The kind of busking that we do, the classical musicians of Covent Garden, is quite a specific kind of busking that combines classical music performance with street performance elements. And by street performance, I mean the kind of show that you see out on the West Piazza, where you have a big crowd of people, they have volunteers from the audience, they do some kind of stunts. We try and bring elements of that.
To the dedicated, busking is much more than a hobby.
I said that busking was an honest way of making a living, and really, in all fairness, it is, because you're not being paid a fee by anyone. You haven't had an arranged salary or anything like that, so the money that you earn in that moment, you've earned it by doing what you do. I think maybe honest, they may be not the right words. In a way, the whole thing, I mean, I'm really singing and I'm really performing, but I am also cajoling as well. So in that respect, it's not completely honest because I'm quite cynical in what I'm doing. I'm not just doing it for the music, for the performance. I'm doing it because I want to earn money from people. And because I've been doing it a long time, I know how to do that. And it's not necessarily by just singing well, it's by all sorts of other things, it's tricks.
Evie knows there are many ways to loosen the crowd's pockets.
I'd say, on the whole, the best way to make money in Covent Garden in larger sums, rather than just a sort of mediocre amount, is to make people laugh. This is something that I've explored a lot over the years, and other very good performers down here that make very good money always manage to get that kind of result from the audience, that they're really having a good time. When people laugh.
It's not everyone's dream to be a busker, but Evie didn't have a choice. Music runs in her blood.
So my father isn't a musician anymore, but as a child he was head chorister at Windsor, St George's Chapel, which is the Queen's private chapel at Windsor Castle. And he was a chorister there from the age of about 8 through to 13 or 14, until his voice broke. So although he didn't pursue music beyond that, he had a really solid education in music.
Evie shares with us how her desires led her to busking after years of musical training and teaching.
Yeah, I didn't really originally want to be a teacher. I think what happened is that I'd been studying music since I was quite young, and when I got to my early 20s I felt a little bit tired of the whole sort of hothouse music education. It was very sort of strict. There wasn't a lot of leeway in it, and I had to be very ambitious as well, because like any art profession you have to be ambitious because so many people are trying to do it.
Evie's resources were limited, and she discovered her voice was all she had.
And I was a little bit jaded by the time I got to my early 20s, and I felt that I didn't actually have any other skills in life. I didn't know how to do anything other than music.
Evie's journey suddenly swept her away from the musical world she was so accustomed to.
So I dropped out, and an opportunity that came up at that time was to study to become a teacher of English as a foreign language. And quite quickly I could get a certificate which would allow me to get jobs abroad. And my aim was to go and travel the world, really, and see the world, and then maybe come back to music, but after having had some different experiences, which is what I did. But I actually ended up really enjoying the teaching, and I lived in Japan for a few years.
Evie jumped around jobs for a time, but ultimately, life had different plans for her.
I was very ill 9 years ago with a sort of meningitis type thing, and that stopped my life for the best part of a year. I wasn't able to do anything at all because I was getting over this illness that nearly killed me.
By the time her sickness had left, so had her previous job opportunity, leading her back to her first love.
And by the time I was better, that job wasn't available to me anymore. And I wasn't really ready to go off again because I was still in a weakened state after the illness. So that's when I started busking, because I needed to make a bit of money. And I was also missing music by this point. And so that's how it sort of all started up again, and the teaching was left behind.
Ultimately, life has trained Evie for performance.
I feel that the other stuff that I do as a busker is more about what I've learned through life and from doing comedy, which I've told you about before. I did stand-up comedy for a couple of years. All these elements are brought together to create a more rounded and more fun entertainment than just performing music.
For Evie, busking can't simply be about singing.
What we do is something a bit different, and that's why I enjoy it so much. We try to entertain as well as just perform music. And for me, that kind of, I feel like my skills are kind of well honed in that direction. If I was just singing, I'd find it wouldn't really stimulate me enough.
For Evie, busking isn't just about the money she brings home. It is also about the memories she leaves with her audience.
It's nice to know that people who see me perform here will remember it, will go away and think, in my visit to London, there was this one thing that happened that was really fun and spontaneous, and I'll remember it for the rest of my life. So in busking terms, yes, I think that would be my legacy, would be that it's in people's memory who I don't even know, that they saw this thing and it cheered them up, or it made them feel good. But in general terms, my legacy would be not to have pissed off too many people in my life, which I'm doing very badly at so far.